Hey, good morning. Friday, December 27th, 9 a.m. Eastern. I've got a video today that's going to talk about some very cold air and a potentially very snowy pattern up and coming. I've got a great forecast for you. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, share it with a friend, whatever the case may be. Let's get right into it. This is a look at kind of the highlight of today's video. And this is a look at our top January snowfall patterns or our top, atmospheric drivers that are correlating to the looks of a very snowy January. This is a look here at differences versus the 30-year normal, and we're looking at things like a declining global wind oscillation, and the Madden-Julian oscillation, the polar vortex. Many things are coming together for a very cold January, regardless of if you're going to get snow or not. But there could be a pretty nice pattern setting up for a lot of cold and some snow. So let's look at some things here just a little bit this morning. We've got rain going on across the large majority of the country. If you follow us, if you have for some time, we had said, hey, between December 20th to January 3rd or so, we're going to be seeing a lot of rain because we don't have a lot of support for cold and for snow. And that's what we're seeing right now, a lot of rain. In fact, some stronger thunderstorms going on across the deep south. You look at the severe weather outlook today, there's a marginal risk for severe weather. Tomorrow's outlook, there's a pretty big risk here now up and coming for an outbreak of tornadoes. This is the tornado risk look here tomorrow. And I tell you, across Mississippi, Louisiana, and southeastern Arkansas, could be a pretty nasty day for tornadoes, hail, wind, all of it. So deep south, severe weather outbreak. It moves east in day 3 into the Carolinas. Again, here with the potential for severe weather with this front coming through. You're going to get a lot of rainfall with this. You just look here at the 7-day rainfall forecast here off of the Clarity platform. And again, you can see just how much rain looks to fall across the area in the Carolinas here in Atlanta and into Alabama. So just a lot of rain in the forecast. Not a lot of snow right now, and we're going to get into that here in just a little bit. But we're lacking snow, and I do think that's about to change in a big way, and we'll talk about that. This is a look at the temperature departure anomalies here. Let me turn my brightness up for me a little bit, but this is the temperature departure for the first 26 days of December. Cold in the east, very warm in the west and the northwest. A similar pattern, only colder, is making a return. I can tell you that much here. We look at the precipitation anomalies. And again, it's been relatively dry for the most part. We've had a couple of decent rainmakers. The 7-day precip map is really going to help erase some of the deficit here. But out in the central plains in the southwest, you're going to continue to run pretty dry as you have here over the last 26 days. Week 1, well, this is the warm-up we talked about, after Christmas and into the new year. Very, very warm look here, week 1. And active, all right, we talked about that. There's the storm track here. You're not going to get any snow out of this. You're going to get a lot of rain and some severe weather, honestly, tornadoes. Continue dry out and through here, week 1. Same thing, really, for the dryness continuing here. We need to keep an eye on that down the road, especially into spring next year to the growing season for the agricultural interests. But we're going to see the northern stream activate here a little bit and the southern stream continue to remain active. This is the area I would start to watch for snowstorms into week 2 and week 3. Look at the cold Arctic air spill in here in the week 2 time frame from the European model. All systems go there. Really don't have any reason to question that right now. 15-day snow prospects here. New run on the left, European top, okay, and old run on the right. You can see definitely increased the prospects for snow a little bit, especially here in the northern tier in the interior northeast. Canadian I used as well because in these Arctic air masses it can do pretty well. Definitely indicating that snow prospects are up in the interior northeast as well. Next 15 days for snow and possibly a good amount of it. This is the probability of 3 inches or more over the next 15 days. And again, you can see where we're kind of highlighting the potential here. I mean, make my marker not as fat for you. But you can see where we're kind of cutting this off a little bit, and these coastal regions are going to have maybe a little bit more of a difficult time in the short term to get some snow further south. But this is a pattern where there may be some respectable clippers potentially. And then as we get later into week 2 and into week 3, we might be setting up shop for a better pattern for bigger snowstorms. All right. Again, there's that analog that suggests that's going to be the area to watch here. You can see the clipper suggestions and the bigger storm suggestions here in the Midwest and up into the north and east. So the story right now is going to become the Madden-Julian oscillation. The tropical forcing is doing a couple things. Going in through a phase 7, that's increasing increasing the odds of sudden stratospheric warming event, of the vortex to be disrupted. We're seeing that right now. I'm going to show it to you here in just a second in a big way, really. And then we're going to orbit into 8-1 and 2. And that's going to deliver durable, lasting cold for a while, probably in through the majority of the month. Maybe the last 10 days or so of January, we may see the pattern kind of step back a bit and kind of move west, which means we might see a little bit of a southeast ridge, a gradient develop, and keep that deep trough over the central U.S. And that's why I think the snow pattern is one we're going to continue to talk about as the gradient arises here or approaches. This is a look here at the vortex, and this is just a remarkable look here. In fact, I'm going to go just pull this up here so you can kind of see. And I want you to pay attention where the run starts cold right here, all right? And then it instantly shifts to maxed out warmth. And this is the stratospheric polar vortex. Watch what happens at the end. Watch how there's 2 regions of warming in the Atlantic and the Pacific, and the vortex is stretched out. Not only do we have the tropospheric polar vortex, we have the stratospheric polar vortex setting up shop. And this is common in years where we have these declining angular momentum forecasts. You can see that right here. The AAM is going down. It's falling along with the MJO moving. One is responsible for the other, and it sets up shop for a pretty memorable January pattern. These are years where we saw the declining angular momentums mid to late January, and you can see the pattern that was produced thereafter. And, again, if I look at, we'll just go down here to the EPS, and if I look at the day 15 pattern in the Northern Hemisphere, you can see a similar look here. All right, you can see a similar look to that being on the table. And I lost my analog image there. I wanted to compare it to you. Let me get that back real quick here, guys. I got some desktop images here somewhere. Here it is down here. I want to pull this back up because I wanted to compare the two. We'll go over here, slide this back over, and you can kind of see the similarities a little bit here, especially in that 10 to 13 day time frame. Big trough there, just a big shot of Arctic air. But you look at the temperature departures, the day 1 departures. Look at the 850 temperature departures. It's just cold air coming in here, no doubt about it. But there's the EPS day 15, and then we'll go down here. Here's the GEFS day 15, the Canadian day 15. A lot of similarity here to this look. Now, one thing I think that's going to happen here is the mean location of the ridge, and the ridge is more here, and the trough is more here right now. I think you're going to see this take a pullback to the west here, mid to late month, which means I think that as the analog shows, the trough will back up because the mean trough axis is going to be a little bit further on the East Coast. It's going to make it difficult at first to get big snowstorms, and your ridge is here, but it pulls back. This kind of allows to develop here the little bit of a southern piece of a gradient. And this pattern here in particular is, again, responsible for this look. These are the years, by the way. These are the years we plugged in to the analog map to give you the look that you saw for the snowfall departures. All right, so nonetheless, it looks like this January 10th through the 23rd on the analog package. Cold sets in. It's significant cold. It's going to be everybody in the reverse C area for the energy departments, you're going to be really cold. and you're going to be using a lot of energy to heat these homes. It's going to be a cold January. The week 3 to 4 official forecast, 16 to 30 day official forecast outlook. We're forecasting cold. It's going to be really cold, and I tell you, I think that you're going to be hard pressed to find anybody that's warm, really in the eastern third of the country. Or 75% of the country, if you will, to the east there. So precipitation pattern, I want to talk about this a little bit because keep in mind, I want to make sure you understand, in the region where I suspect there could be a lot of snow, snowfall departures do not require above normal precipitation. All right. Now, I do think we could have a couple of big storms in here in this time frame, the 10th through the 23rd of January. I do want to keep you abreast of that. This is liquid precipitation forecast, not snowfall departure. But if I had to draw a snowfall departure map for this time frame, I think you need to be looking at two areas. I think you need to be looking at clippers, all right, presenting above normal snowfall, and then a second area here where there could be big snowstorms, and you may even have an area where you would draw a color that hints at a much above normal, and you could do that possibly in here somewhere for snowfall in the 16 to 30 day with both clipper action and bigger storm system action. Okay, so just something to keep in mind. Look at the North Pacific pattern. Look how active it is. It's totally loaded with cyclones and big deep low pressure systems, and this is going to continue to do a number of things. Make the pattern active, and put warm air intrusions up into the stratosphere, into the higher latitudes to protrude and disrupt the vortex. A lot of things going on that are going to really result in a pattern durable for snow. All right, there's the overall analog package. Here's your European and your American weekly runs of snowfall. You can see a couple of them are very intense. A lot of suggestions of snow in there, and it kind of match in similarity to the analog map, which is interesting nonetheless. So CFS forecast trend here over the last 3 days. It's trending in the way of suggesting a pattern. This is a 10-day chunk of all the runs. Again, you can kind of see the northern stream, and you can kind of see the main storm track stream. And that in and of itself is, you could probably paint that blue for snowfall departures again to be above normal. Note it's trending colder the last 3 days. The most recent run, it obviously looks quite a bit colder in that regard as well. So interesting nonetheless. Now, if we took the years we talked about just in this video and rolled them forward into February, this is what they look like. There's your southeast ridge suggestion. There's the pullback, if you will, of the pattern, the step backwards west a little bit, the retrogression, I think, of the ridge and the trough axis into mid to late January and into February. And again, this type of look would keep this pattern very much entertaining for snow prospects. I think it's a lot more snow in January and February than we've seen in in the last several years for the most part. So one other thing I want to show you guys is in regards to that polar vortex is just some of the recent model runs here. All right, the vortex gets a lot of incorrect prognostication. All right, it gets a lot of incorrect analysis, in my opinion, and a lot of the vortex, even from people that you think should know. I just, if the vortex is on your side of the planet where you're at, and there's a storm system, active storm track, you're going to get cold. I hope you understand that. This is the GFS. We're taking the stratospheric polar vortex, and not only are we shoving it over into North America, it's staying there. And then at the end, watch how we're trying to start stretching this thing out, right? Look at this this is the stratospheric vortex. Look as it's starting to elongate and stretch out, 10 millibars, 50 millibars. And just watch the major warming going on up here in the North Pacific. This to me tells me that we've got a pattern sustainable for durable cold and long lasting cold based on the position of that vortex. Maybe not so much staying in the far eastern portion of the country as the pattern kind of retrogrades and MJO goes into 1 and 2. The central U.S. and Midwest is probably going to be cold for several weeks, significantly cold at times, as if you get a storm, you could pull down a couple of lobes of the stratospheric polar vortex. Very similar to 2014, very similar. So that's all I have for today. It's all systems go. We've been talking about this for weeks. And yeah, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're following us and getting alerts for the latest videos. We'll talk to you soon.